Okay, Martin.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to this third session of our free spring series, webinar series at NASCAD University. So in this golden age of digital technology, I'm in the middle of a power blackout with very poor internet, so I am welcoming you on my cell phone. So thank you so much to my colleagues for making this work. My name is Martine Durier-Kopp, and I'm the Acting Vice President, Academic and Research, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to our seminar today. And I would like to begin with a territorial acknowledgement. NASCAD is in Mi'kmaq on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq Nation. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship which Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik Maliseet peoples first signed with the British Crown in 1725. The treaties did not deal with surrender of lands or resources, but in fact recognized Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik Maliseet title and established the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. So again, a wonderful welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to be discussing support streams available to new entrepreneurs, such as business incubators and other networks. And we're particularly delighted to have two very special guests, Farber, the director of the RBC Center for Emerging Artists and Designers at our sister university, OCAD University, and Mercè, Segú, Executive Director, Arts Directors Club of Europe, joining us from Barcelona. Buenas tardes y bienvenida.
Hello, thank you, gracias.
De nada. We know that running a business can seem like a daunting or very lonely journey at times because it truly does take a village. That's why we're excited to have some extraordinary speakers shedding light on how having strategic partners can help you build your business. So we very much hope that you enjoy this conversation and cannot wait to hear your thoughts. So just a reminder to participants, for those of us who are returning participants and to new participants, we'd like you to share your thoughts with us in the survey that we're going to send via email right after the session. We're always trying to discover how we can best support you in your business journey, so your feedback is most welcome. And now I'd like to turn it to the director of the Creative Entrepreneurship Lab at NASCAD University, Greg Adolphe Nazaire. Over to you, Greg.
Thank you very much, Martine, and thank you for making it. I know you had some issues with your technology, and thank you very much for everyone for making it today. So my name is Greg Nazaire, and on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, I'll be your host today. Well, we'll talk about the creative industries and some key partners, strategic partners, or creative entrepreneur will definitely need in order to succeed. So we'll have a great conversation about some particularities of the creative industry and the potentials and people who actually can help us. So let's take a look today with basically our view in the potential we know the creative industry can offer. I mean, this is now, right? And the opportunities are there, and it's up to us, it's up to the community, it's up to our policymakers, government officials, and even private sector to actually get involved. And the potential, like we mentioned, out there, right? That's why the UN conference on technology and development on UNCTAD actually declare 2021 the International Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, because literally, I would say, sometimes it's a way out for many emerging economies, right? Especially when you're not dealing with a highly sophisticated infrastructure. In many cases, arts, crafts, and culture, that's all they actually they can provide. So no wonder we have that I would say solemn declaration from the UN to, you know, as 2021 as the International Year for Creative Economy and Sustainable Development. So if you take a look at the creative industries, you have I'll say a strong resiliency. What you can see here in Canada, from month to month, all industries grew by 0.40%, right? Agriculture 0.10%, mining, oil and gas minus 2.80%. Guess who got a bounce back? Creative industries. We have a bounce back by 1.5%. That shows you the level of resiliency this industry has. And the advantage too is because the impact it can have in sometimes in the most remote regions in the country. So whether you take in Ghana, where it accounts for 27% of the workforce, or in Indonesia, where it's 7.4% of the GDP and represent 14.3% of the workforce. From craft to gaming, fashion to furniture, people may say, well, you talk about emerging markets, you talk about developing countries. Well, how about Canada? Basically, let's go just a bit closer to us. Down in the States or the UK, when you have San Jose, Sunny Valley, and Santa Clara, 20.30% of the workforce. In Washington, D.C., 18.30% of the workforce. San Francisco and Auckland, 17.40%. Austin, 15.10%. Even when you take London, UK, inner London, not the whole region, but inner London, 21.5% of the workforce come from the creative industries. So it's massive, right? And for some regions, it's literally the backbone of the economy, the regional economy. There is one thing we can see here. Whether you take San Francisco, you take Austin, which is basically one of the most innovative cities in the US, or you take London, you have one thing here. You have a strong, very strong clusters, high-tech clusters, right? When you take, whether you take San Francisco, you take Boston, you take London, you take even Washington, D.C., you have very, very strong or very developed high-tech ecosystem, which basically leads us to what we call intersectionality between the high-tech industry, or growing intersectionality between the high-tech industry and the art and creative industries. Basically, that leads to the growing innovation we have nowadays. So what we have right there, according to LinkedIn, between 2010 and 2013, the growth rate of art students entering into the tech industry actually outpaced engineering majors and computer science majors by 10%. Just to tell you the intersectionality between both, and is growing faster and faster. Just to tell you, to illustrate how basically how big, substantial, significant the opportunities out there. So we need, this is why I think when you have students, growing that fast, I'd say 156%, it means that the potential is there. The talent pool is there. So what I would say is basically to lead us to the road ahead, right, to this fourth industrial revolution, we need support. We need strategic partners. And those strategic partners, whether you're taking, we're dealing with trade organization, or for, advocate for the interests of artists, whether you're taking incubators, you need those strategic partners. And our government officials, the private sector, they should be aware, of these opportunities. To get there, we need those support. this is the kind of, I'll say, this is the topic of the day. And I'm glad to have with us today to talk about the opportunities, to talk about the way some key players can help us. We have with us Mercè Segú, the Executive Director of the Art Directors Club of Europe. Out of Barcelona, we have Farber, the director of the RBC Center for Emerging Artists and Designer at the OCAD University out of Toronto. And they will share with us their experience, their knowledge. And thank you both for being with us today.
Thank you, Greg. Should I start?
Sure.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Well, first, I would like to thank you for this invitation. It's been an honor to be invited for this webinar today. And I'm here representing the Art Directors Club of Europe. The Art Directors Club of Europe is an organization that today is the platform where the creative community unites to interact and foster, explore, celebrate, and promote creativity as a multi-solution approach. We passionately believe that only if we are a diverse, connected, and collaborative European creative community, we will be able to solve complex problems. And ADCE educates, inspires, and exchanges knowledge and experience by leveraging the diversity of European creativity. We were founded in 1990. It's a non-for-profit organization, and it was founded to promote and reward creativity excellence in communication and graphic design throughout Europe. Our organization includes 22 countries around Europe. Our headquarters are in Barcelona, and we represent 23 clubs, associations of professionals in graphic design and advertising. We have from DNID from UK until the smaller club in Cyprus. So we have a diversity of different associations around Europe. Every association represents all the community in every market, in every country. In Spain, we have 2 members, so that's why we are in 22 clubs in 22 countries, and we have 23 club members. We are funded by the European Commission in the European Union Culture Program in Creative Europe, and that helps us to organize many of our activities. We represent more than 5,000 professionals. We have art directors, copywriters, creative directors, graphic designers, photographers, film directors, and other creatives from the communication industry. This is our community. Our activities are basically in 3 different chapters, as we classify them. We have the awards, we have the European Creativity Festival, and we have our educational programs. The awards are our most old activity. We started organizing the awards. It's the competition that rewards the best of European design and advertising. Every year we celebrate the awards in Barcelona, where juries from all European countries come together. And our awards are only for winners from national competitions. So it's somehow the Champions League of creativity. That's why it has such a prestige in our industry. Then we organize the festival as well every year. We want to stimulate, inspire, and motivate our community. It's a 2-day of conferences. We also do it in Barcelona in our headquarters. We invite creatives and we organize workshops, and it's a networking space as well. Every year we define a topic, and under that topic we invite our speakers and we debate around that. Then in our educational programs, we have programs for young creatives. The Creative Express is one of these programs where we invite young creatives to work on a brief. We divide them into different teams with senior professionals that guide them as mentors, and they have to find creative solution during 2.5 days in different topics. And we organize it in different European cities every year. Then we have our scholarships. We have agreements with the NID and with Hyper Island. We give scholarships to our members. We organize as well that Greatness Challenge, which is a program for young creatives to participate in the judging sessions and to learn how to select and which is the criteria to award the best works in every year in the awards. And then we have the Creative Incubator, which is a program that I think we fit today in this webinar, thanks to that as well, apart from our network. But it's a program that we want to respond to some of the core challenges of advertising and design organizations. And we have developed that Creative Incubator, that it looks at different triggers that could transform the business model and organizational design of the creative industry. So every year we work with different workshops, and it's like a think tank, and we try to develop different new business models and different new solutions for the industry that we represent. This year, the Creative Incubator is going to be launched. Well, now it's open already for registrations, and we will start in June and will end in November. And the topic is the collective creative culture. So in order to deal with our current and future global challenges, we need to create a culture, a united, diverse group of people with different expertise to maximize the impact we can make, all under the same flag. So for this reason, we need to give birth to a collective culture. As our collective will be diverse and come from various backgrounds, we will use creativity as the bridge to connect and unify. So this is the topic for this year, and we are going to work during these 6 months, and in a digital platform is going to be this year. So this is new for this edition, and that's the topic for that. So, and we also organize other activities, ADCE Nights, which are local events to honor local winners of the awards. We do a traveling exhibition with all winners for the awards every year. We publish in a digital book all winners of the awards. So we have we showcase every year the best in European design and advertising. And we have also a directory with all our members and all awarded creatives behind the awards. So I'm going to talk now around the new business models that we've been developing in the incubator, right? So this is an approach that we've done for today's presentation. So the industry situation now, which is the situation with all these changes we are having at the moment. So models are changing. We have new in-house creative agencies. We have an increase of freelancers. We have new startups. There's an acquisition of agencies by consulting and tech organizations. So we are passing from the typical agencies, advertising agencies and graphic design studios to a very diverse models of business. Now brands are changing as well. They are not only brands with values, they also have to be brands as content generators. They have to be honest, they have to be transparent, and consumers are demanding that. So there's a change in brands as well. There's a change also because there's a lot of brands now are thinking on that purpose-driven business. So they have to, a lot of them want to be focused on the sustainable development goals. So that's a big change in the business and the way to work and the way people consume and people behave. So new consumers and new creatives, we have new profiles. So there's a disconnection from traditional brands and from working models. So there's that new gap. And of course, technology is affecting all our industries, and it's in constant evolution. And how the creative organizations are going to be in the future? Well, we think that creative industries are more decentralized organizations and disconnected to physical spaces. We've seen that in the pandemic, of course. It's more human-centric approach, more purpose-driven. So it has to be human-centric for the creative that works in the organization, and also for the brands to be more centric, consumer-centric, client-centric. Technology and data are essential tools in these new models of creative industries, but craft is also valuable to humanize technology. And prototyping is also something new in these new creative models, because it has to be included in the creative process. And then about collaborative work, it's really important now, as we've seen, and we are going to develop this year with this incubator we are going to develop from June. So it's more collaborative work, integrating different creative disciplines and different specialists. More specialists, but more collaborative. And then, as the last point, business have to be very agile and resilient in order to succeed in these changing moments. So these are only some hints for then after the Q&A we can develop all together. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mercè. Would you like to go on, Zeb?
Absolutely. 1 second. Okay, hopefully everyone can see my screen. Thank you, tremendous thanks, Greg, for inviting me to be part of the session today. Mercè, it was great to listen to your presentation. So a big thank you to NASCAD. So as was mentioned off the top, I am very fortunate to lead something called the RBC Center for Emerging Artists and Designers at OCAD University in Toronto. And what we do in a nutshell is we focus on supporting all OCAD-U students, and as well as recent alumni. We don't really put a cap on when people can access our services and platforms. And our emphasis is on helping them, particularly with first destination, so to speak, after they come out of the university, and being able to effectively begin their professional practice, join creative industries, get those jobs, all the important stuff when it comes to an early career. We are one of the largest specialized art and design universities in North America. We support probably around 3,000 to 4,000 individuals every year through our different programs and services. So there is, I found it interesting that it's comparable to some of the scale of the Art Directors Club of Europe in some ways. And we have a dedicated team. This is the group of people that I'm fortunate enough to work with. Notably, our team is made up of creative practitioners and professionals themselves. A lot of folks, including myself, have advanced degrees in art and design practice, studio practice, curatorial practice. A lot of folks have spent time also working in other industries, even including recruitment within human resources or other things. And in particular, a number of individuals do have a background in some form of entrepreneurial practice, particularly as it relates to the creative sector, to arts and culture in particular. And the work that we do pretty much falls into three very connected and sometimes overlapping portfolios or features within our center. We have our career development work. We do a lot of experiential learning placements, which are 4 credit. And then we have creative entrepreneurship, which is the newest feature to become formally part of our center's work. And if we're maybe thinking about that word ecosystem that's been referenced a few times, you can sort of imagine hovering around, within the honeycomb structure, that there are many, many different types of stakeholders who are integral to the work that we do and who we support, who rely on us and whom we rely on, including faculty, students and recent alumni, obviously, but in particular, employment partners, mentors, people who will provide vital access to networks and opportunities, as well as a significant range of outside funders and industry partners who we are able to develop models for collaboration with that are very impact focused and outcome oriented, but at the same time they share a set of values around the general work that you would see coming out of career services at universities across Ontario in particular. This is a snapshot of maybe what I'll call like many, if not nearly all, of the different programs and services where we place different components of what we do, some of those impacts and outcomes, into all of these different types of buckets. Some of this is very standard issue, like things like our job board, which is called the Talent Network, and some of it is much more tailored, which are things like our Career Launchers Initiative or Design 4 program, or the design charrettes that we facilitate, which sounds like there's a corollary to that within the Art Directors Club, for example. All of the things that we do, though, are through a specialized lens. So we are a specialized university, and so we have specialized services that just has a very particular emphasis on, and in particular, creating paid creative opportunities for people and giving them a chance to truly develop experience or acquire skills or put their professional creative abilities into actual practice. From as much of the survey data that we can conduct tells us, we understand that a truly significant portion of people who come out of the university are going to operate their own business or work as a creative entrepreneur at some point in their career. People oscillate based on their needs, their abilities, various drivers and pressures that exist, and they may move back and forth between the traditional labor force as much as starting up something under their own steam. But this has been really significant for us in understanding, what truly is necessary to help set these individuals up for success. Because at the end of the day, that's what our focus is actually helping people to achieve real success based on the goals that they have. And for a large number of those people, there are tie-ins to creative entrepreneurship. For example, and this image here is a bit of a callback to the image prior here on our welcome desk in our space. Just as a brief case study, we have a recent graduate. Her name is Emily May Rose, and we have a industry partnership with a major developer, Tridel, who has a strategy across their various many newer developments to help build healthy communities, and that includes encouraging their residents to use stairwells as opposed to elevators, for example. And so we've developed a partnership that's contributed to putting in direct wall treatments, new commissioned artwork into those stairwells across various sites. And Emily May Rose is one of the artists who's been contributing to that. And Emily is a perfect example of an exemplar of creative entrepreneurship. This is her full-time practice. This is her full-time professional focus. She develops and applies murals of her own work, her own aesthetic, all over the world. In fact, her work is really notable and is highly recognizable, a lot of raccoons, which is a very Toronto thing. And she's also taught us a great deal, because we will work in collaboration with people who've been doing this for a while in order to understand what's the framework that makes sense. What's the value that needs to be advocated for? How do we help shape that experience for you? And how do we better represent the needs and interests of the creative community, so that there is somebody there who can stand up and say, we're in your corner, and we can do some of the business negotiations for you, or at least in collaboration with you in order to achieve the best end result. And so we licensed that hello image for our own space, partly to be able to continue to tell the story, but it's also because it's a great image. One of the other elements that we focus on if we think about entrepreneurial skills and the ability to apply creative skills, design skills in particular, is our Design 4 program, where the emphasis here is on getting students out into proximity with entrepreneurs, with the people who are building organizations, frequently smaller organizations, or sort of like more startup, strategic innovation labs within larger organizations, and having small groups of multidisciplinary designers working together effectively as almost like a freelance agency, where they do all of their time tracking and invoicing and billing, and they co-create a brief at the outset of what's usually like a 15 to 20 week program, all the way through to creating deliverables that are intended to be actually implemented. And, again, to use words I've used before, create value. So getting individuals out into the entrepreneurial ecosystem and giving them the chance to learn from entrepreneurs and see what are some of the actual skills that are necessary on the ground to be successful is a very important feature of some of the ways that we approach entrepreneurship. At the same time, we've learned that a particular pain point is access to seed funding for creative entrepreneurs. We, from the 80% of those graduates who at some point are going to be creative entrepreneurs in some way, shape, or form, and it can look like a tremendous number of things, but it frequently doesn't quite look, at least especially within the first few years out of school, it doesn't look like a scalable technology startup organization. We are more interested in looking at pre-incubation skills and pre-incubation creative businesses, and trying to look at ways that we can actually get them off the ground quickly. And that looks like seed funding. It looks like strategic advice. 2 months ago, we hosted a pitch competition that was developed over several months in partnership with an RBC venture company called Owner that helps organizations get their businesses off the ground. And at the end of it, what we were able to achieve was supporting 4 specific organizations. $11,000 was distributed across these 4 different organizations. We have an entity called Loud Army, which provides licensing access to like royalty-free beats online in order for people to build their own songs and get them distributed. We have a bakery that specializes in halal goods called Nora's Bakery. We have Homestead Ceramic, which is run by an individual named Chiesa Pasipinojga, who focuses on craft. And we also have an organization called Habit Factory, which is a membership-driven skills development platform run by a couple of industrial design grads. And this was a really great opportunity to help organizations like these develop pitch readiness skills, to create business plans. We had a tremendous response to the initial call for applications. We had more than 100 individuals and organizations say they wanted to be part of this, which just reinforces the idea that there's a lot of this activity going on, among the OCAD University community. So it was great to be able to push out some seed funding to these organizations and to follow their journey over time. In talking with Greg about this session, I thought it might be worthwhile to share some of the learning that we've come away with over time. And I think that one of the problematic areas is any persistence whatsoever of the myth of the lone genius artist or maker or creator or designer, and the idea that they are successful in isolation. Off the top, it was referenced that it takes a community, and it really does. And we've seen that the skills that are necessary to be successful don't necessarily look like what you come away with from a business school education, for example. It's not about accounting. It's not about traditional leadership models or mergers and acquisitions or anything else like that. It's really about the skills that are listed here on the screen about navigating ambiguity and being able to collaborate with people in a meaningful way, and focusing on inclusivity versus exclusivity, and in particular being able to actually stand up and advocate for your own needs. And what we've seen in the end is that the opportunity to practice these skills yields a high degree of confidence, helps people to be able to understand how to solve problems on their own, and increases their own measures of self-efficacy, which is just another word or another term for being able to understand how to solve certain problems and find the resources and locate the resources you need, versus just pure self-reliance, where you might imagine, I'm the only one who can do this and I have to do it by myself. So I think that these are some really important learnings that we've developed over time, and it's changed the nature of how we have certain conversations, how we look at especially outside partners and employers and what they can potentially bring to the table when it comes to creating experiences. But it's truly the complete opposite of the idea of doing something. There's a word in the description for this session, the idea that it can be really lonely. And I think in this particular moment over the past 13, 14 months, there has been this acute sort of isolation experience, which really just drives our focus even further on trying to counter that with whatever we can do amidst these circumstances, and obviously as we emerge from this. So I want to say thank you for listening, and we do have some contact information here, and I'm happy to share anything further at a later date. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Zev. Thank you very much. Great presentation and great presentation. Merci. Mercè, thank you very much, both of you. So would like to go now with questions from the audience. Okay. At what level, this is the first question, at what level of business should, at what level of business should one join organizations such as Art Director Clubs of Europe, for example? Is it too early to join as a student?
No, we have students in our organizations. And of course, the sooner you join the community of creatives, the sooner you will be fit with all the experience from other colleagues that you will be able to meet. The networking is very important in our case, and to create the community is good to have a diversity of senior creatives and young creatives. Young creatives learn from seniors, and seniors learn as well from young creatives. So of course, from the moment you want to join, you can, of course.
Perfect, thank you. Do we have a second question? Okay. Second question, what are you looking for in the entrepreneurs chosen in mentorship role? How do you pair entrepreneurs and artists?
This is maybe for Zeb.
I think it's for both of you. I think we can you can start first, Mercè, and then Zev will follow up. I know Zev is big on mentorship as well, so.
Yeah. Well, we select mentors depending on the profiles they have and depending on the people they are going to work with. So, and depending on the fields, we have a bunch of different profiles in our organization. So, depending on every case.
Okay, perfect. Zev, what about you?
Sure. I think we've seen that mentorship can be a tricky thing because it really has to be nimble. It's not easy to manufacture a really effective mentor-mentee relationship, quote unquote. So ultimately, what we have is we have a variety of approaches that people can leverage. We have one-off opportunities for conversation. We have more prolonged engagements that people can invest themselves in that might look like looking at a very particular problem or challenge and working through that problem or challenge over time. And then we have ways that are completely passive, so that if an individual doesn't feel that they're quite ready to engage and make a commitment to the idea of even being the person to be mentored, they can participate in a bit of a more passive way to be able to acquire knowledge and learn who's doing what out there, who are my contemporaries, and who could I potentially approach later when I'm ready for somebody to mentor me. So we have a variety of different approaches that look like all kinds of different levels of ability and commitment. And I think that we've learned that that's really necessary for to be able to serve the broadest range of needs.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably one of the toughest tasks on Incubator actually has to basically to undertake, because dealing with human beings is very it's very complex. It's not it's not binary. So I understand when you say different approaches, and yeah, we have a third one. I think this one is for Zev. How important is it to have a governance team with hands-on experience as opposed to strictly entrepreneurial background?
Does this refer to the team that we have that runs our programs and services? Maybe I'll talk to that.
Yes, I'm not sure, but I think if you want to elaborate just a bit on.
Yeah, so our team is made up of people who primarily have lived experience when it comes to creative practice, usually at a professional level, even at an emerging level. We have a fair number of OCAD University alumni who have come back to work as part of our team. They go their own route and then they find their way back, but they're not strictly entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs look like a variety of things. So truly, I'm not a big fan of drawing lines in the sand. It really is about understanding what experience looks like for different people and how that can potentially create value for a big community. So, I think that it's important to be responsive when it comes to pulling in people who can either play a leadership role or a governance role or a coordination role. We, even beyond our full-time staff, we do have a significant group of stakeholders and participants who pop in and pop out for different kinds of engagements with us, short-term contracts or things like that, in order to be able to bring something really important and special to the community at a specific moment. So I'm not a big fan of lines in the sand and the idea that someone has to be one way or the other for sure. I hope that helps a little bit.
Yeah, you cannot be in the creative world, even in business, right? You cannot be binary.
No.
it doesn't work. Doesn't look like that. I think we have one for Mercè. Give me a minute. Do you welcome Canadian artists in your organization? I think I saw it coming, right?
Well, we are a European organization, but of course we are an open organization. So we have our members, and from Canada, you cannot join as a member. But of course, a lot of our activities are open to any kind of profile of creatives. So for instance, when we organize the festival, so everyone is welcome. Now for the incubator, it's registration open to everyone. And as it's going to be in a digital platform, so it's possible for everyone to attend. So we are open to collaborate with creatives from all over the world.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, thank you, and I think that's a great question, and I think we had that discussion a couple of months ago, and that's why I'm kind of like very keen to explore these opportunities to collaborate between your organization and NASCAD, right? To give that opportunities to those opportunities to our students and even our alumni too. And yes, great to hear. So Zev, we have a question. Does RBC have similar program in Nova Scotia addressing the needs of NSCAD students and alumni?
Yeah. So the formal founding of our center was back in 2013, and RBC was a founding supporter at that time. It helped us move from just being career services to that of the center. And last year, RBC created a gift for OCAD University, $1 million gift, which in part was the renaming of our center. And we've seen tremendous support out of what's called their Emerging Artist Project Initiative, relative to supporting not only ourselves, but the Emerging Artist Project supports organizations across Canada. So I would wager that there are definitely some funded arts and culture organizations in Nova Scotia and in the Atlantic provinces that are benefiting from that initiative out of RBC. They're a national organization, and so I would encourage any arts organization to visit the Emerging Artist Project website at RBC to learn more about that and see what's possible to see more support.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We have another question. Is there value in older or mature artists or students looking for further education as well as career? The question is for both of you.
Well, education is good at all levels of your professional career. So young and others as well. We focus on both profiles. Our scholarships are open to all kind of creatives. So yeah.
Okay. Zev, I guess same for you since you teach as well. So
sure. We have at OCAD, we have a significant number of mature students at the university. There are a lot of folks who are, not in that, exclusively traditional 18 to 24 sort of age range. So we work with and support and have the benefit of encountering a lot of different people at a lot of different levels of their own education and careers and interests. And then when those folks come out of university or beyond the education space, there's always ways that our students can benefit from learning from people who've been out in the field for a while. So we certainly, it goes back to that point about drawing lines in the sand, right? It's never about that. It really is about trying to meet people where they're at and trying to see how there's opportunities to either build relationships or create opportunities.
Very good. Thank you. Let me see if we have another one. Okay. In your experience, what are the key business skills that you see creatives needing to invest time into fostering?
Wow, that's difficult. Many skills for the creatives to succeed. I would say collaboration is very important to be able to collaborate with teams, to adapt, and resilience, of course, because there are many different situations and different clients, different problems. You have to deal with many different actors in every creative process you are developing for different projects. So the capacity to adapt is very important. Strategic thinking is also very important, because this is something that sometimes is difficult to learn. And the big thing I would say is to be curious. Curiosity in creativity is basic. So that activity, to look at life in a curious way is essential to be a good creative. So, well, I could say much more, I think, because it's a quite complex profession, actually. Mm-hmm. And to have a lot of passion as well. Creatives always talk about the passion they have for their work, because it's very personal thing you put in your profession. So you have to be passionate with that. So this is what I would say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, creative industry, I think it's the change, innovation is literally exponential. It's like it doesn't stick, let's say, for one day. This is what it is, like limitless opportunities. And I think it's every single day you need to think about some new things to change. This is not like you build a bridge and you wait for 5 years to do some maintenance or something, right? It's always changing. So, yeah, great question, great answer too. Zev, would you like to follow up?
Sure. If only to add to Mercè's list, I think I would really advocate for communication skills. So, I think at the heart of any project that we've ever been part of, or that we've watched students and alumni be part of, if ever anything went wrong, it was only due to a lack of communication, or individuals who have a great idea for a business, or have a tremendously, they have all the curiosity, they have all the passion, they have all the skills, but they don't know how to communicate their ideas. And it's not that they don't know, it's just that maybe they haven't had the chance to practice it enough to be able to have the opportunity to talk about their ideas and see how they can inspire other people to be involved with them, and to get that experience of getting someone to say yes. So I would really highlight, trying to go as far outside of your comfort zone as possible when it comes to communication skills, and getting a chance to turn those into something you can really leverage to your advantage.
Great, perfect. Thank you. I think you have the same question they asked Mercè earlier. Zev, is RBC interested in connecting with NSCAD to develop entrepreneur business program for students and alumni? Do you want to answer that while I answer it? Okay, go ahead.
You might have to ask RBC.
Okay.
But,
no, when I think when they mention RBC, they talk about your center.
Oh, okay. Because, yeah, RBC might have an interest, but I mean, we're fortunate that we're already in conversation with people like Greg. So I think that if the pandemic has offered only one thing, it's that a lot of a lot of barriers or geographical barriers have been eliminated, and it's created opportunities for ourselves, and we're in talks with other universities about how we can all work together and create something that's beneficial at a national level. So I'm looking forward to that work.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think great things are coming, right? For the whole thing. I think we have another one that's gonna be for both of you. To what degree did your respective government partners recognize the strategic importance of your organization? You want to go first? With want to go first, Mercè? Or
yeah. Well, we have been recognized for the European Commission, so I'm talking at European level. So and of course the government at this European level promotes and wants us to be present and to be active in the sector and to promote creativity and to promote professionals in that industry, because they put a lot of value on in the creative industries as the new industry to move the business. So yeah, it's a big recognition. I think it's in the focus on the business policy, in the policies.
Yeah, great to know that, because like I mentioned earlier in my presentation, the talent pool is there. Yeah. The potential is there. It's $3.5 trillion globally. $3.5 trillion. And like I mentioned earlier, it's the growing intersectionality. Like, it's literally now you have so many opportunities for art students, right? You remember 30 years ago, someone with a degree in physics, you go and teach university or school, right? Now you can become an entrepreneur, come up with some technology or something, right? So that's the way I think the evolution, it's evolving, towards you, that fourth industrial revolution. So if I want to follow up with Zev, and I'm glad the European Union actually, they are cognizant of this. They are aware of the strategic importance of creative industries. If I want to follow up with Zev, to what degree the government of Ontario recognize the strategic importance of OCAD, Emerging Center for Emerging Arts and Design?
I think obviously, depending on who's in government is going to change specific priority focuses. There has been a tremendous amount of support for the idea of the outcomes of a university education, right? So in our case, that always boils down to creative jobs and creative entrepreneurship. And so our narrative with government is always tied back to that, and trying to articulate just how incredibly important that is to the economy. And we have seen a lot of success in being able to generate interest and continued support for the university as a whole, as well as for the work that we do at our center. And in some cases, that support looks like just doubling down on the idea of outcomes from an education. So I think we do have a lot of strong champions and stakeholders in the kind of work that we're doing. And at the same time, though, there is it's a long game. So there's always more work to be done, and right, more building to do in order to be able to demonstrate the potential and how government can have impact.
Right. And normally I'll say those initiatives, those support from government, it's provincial wide, right? your initiatives, the impact you have, it's not just local or regional, it's provincial. It's province-wide.
It's definitely provincial, but it's even national, and of course international. We all have growing bodies of international students. I don't think that provincial governments necessarily are interested in the international GDP improvements, but at the same time, though, it's all critical and important, right? So.
Right. That's yeah, because we in Nova Scotia, I know we have some institutions here, but the impact, I would say, more or less compared to what we have for the tech industries, the impact is more or less a local, I say, small scale, but we hope the existing organization, they will have more support, you know, where the impact can be bigger, better. And yeah, so another question we have: how would you compare the development of the creative ecosystem with other prominent industries? And we're gonna start with Ontario, and after that with Europe. How do you compare the development of the creative ecosystem with other prominent industries? Basically, what we, the support system, and yeah, go ahead.
Well, Ontario has emerged as in particular, like a technology center. So there's been a tremendous surge in major leading technology companies, as well as startup companies, making a lot of inroads into Toronto, as well as Ontario as a whole. But so the opportunity in that case has been to seed creativity within those sectors, right? Because they need creativity, they need creative skills. And so that's been a significant opportunity. But when we talk about applied creative practice and creative entrepreneurs, it is potentially an underserved sector when it comes to direct support for those enterprises, those businesses. In particular, because the idea of access to seed funding, in particular, is a big challenge, and so those early growth opportunities and early wins are a bit challenging for organizations to access. There's still a lot of slightly outdated models that people have to rely on in order to access that kind of support.
Yeah. I mean, even for us, then what we had to do is literally to have those arrangement and MOUs with some financing institutions such as CBDCs or eventually seed and futurepreneurs, so to facilitate access to capital, because we don't have, and I don't know any, maybe I'm mistaken, but I don't know any organization here in Nova Scotia, okay, that can actually finance a creative entrepreneur, let's say sign a check, a seed capital, stuff like the same way, to the same level you have it for the tech industry.
That's right.
Yeah. Right. It's very unfortunate, but hopefully how government partners, government officials, they'll take note, right? And do something about it. Mercè, what about in Europe? What is the prominence of the creative industry compared, let's say, to the high tech industry? How developed is it?
Of course, the tech industry is much bigger. It's bigger in terms of investments, investors, and somehow it's more visible. Because we all think on tech companies and we see the apps and the solutions, digital solutions and so on. But these organizations all need graphic designers, UX designers, creatives, marketing as well. So it's also relevant the influence that the tech industries have in the creative industries as well. So for designers and developers, of course. So, well, it's much bigger, of course, the tech industry, but the creative industry is also there and they need each other somehow as well.
Yeah, down in the States, they quickly made the connection quickly. Like if you have cities like Austin, same thing. They quickly made, and I think too in Ontario too. They kind of quickly made the connection. The potential, to check about the potential. One question I need to ask you personally. Let me check to see if we don't have any other questions. During the pandemic, your members, what was the reaction? How do you see the adjustment? Like, let's say from small to big. I know a big one. I know you, Mercè, you have big clients, right? And I know it's going to be different. Sometimes they can afford it, but on a smaller scale, how do you see them kind of like nimble, try to adjust to the new reality?
Well, they had to adjust to the new reality, so it was really forced to adapt on these new ways of working and new ways of meeting with clients and developing projects. So I think it's been a real challenge for all our industry, but I think they succeed really because thanks to the digital tools, we did non-stop. So it's been a big opportunity to find new ways of collaboration, of course, as well. And it's been hard because it's been a very we had to change from one day to another. So, but I think the creative industry succeed on that basically because of the digital tools we all have, and we had to adapt on all our work on that.
Perfect. Zev, what about you? What have you learned? What have you heard?
Well, this graduating class of 2021, they really do get to claim the resiliency badge. So, they've had to pivot to an online learning environment, an online working environment, creativity in the absence of significant studio support. I think the situation in the Atlantic provinces was a little bit different than here in Ontario, but we've been largely shut down for a long time, and I think the lack of community, the lack of ability for people to gather and come together and network and build relationships, that's pretty significant for a lot of emerging artists. But it's interesting to note in the creative sector, especially within design, we've seen those businesses just like busier than ever. So yeah,
wow, that's surprising.
Anybody who's digital first, like they've been thriving, and they've been leading the charge when it comes to hiring people and giving people opportunities. So there's been two sides of the coin here, where some people, some entities and some organizations have thrived and others have really suffered. And I think that it's going to be an opportunity to really reflect and figure out the models for how we kind of emerge from this and create something a bit more equitable and humane.
Right, and I heard that about even it's particularly for jewelry. I heard it was literally it was thriving. Like it's not even it was thriving. And I think last session, I actually came up with a couple of numbers. It was one of the top selling products online, right? And yeah, we need to be creative and to adapt immediately. Even for the restaurant industry, if I'm not mistaken, last time I was talking to a colleague of mine, and he said some of his clients didn't adjust immediately, so they had to shut down. Others, they keep running and they do it online. right? They use, I think, Goober or what, one of those DoorDash, whatever it is, or one of those online ordering, whatever. So I think, yeah, I think it's the success of any entrepreneur is your capacity to quickly adjust, to adapt. And I say that I heard a lot of people talking about adapt to be what, but it's a reality. That's not a buzzword. It's a reality. It's a reality. Yeah, to quickly adapt, to be that, when they say agile, it's how can you be quick on your feet. It's not something very, buzzword, very technical. It's how fast you are, and changing the pace, or move to the left or move to the right. That's that's my opinion on this. And I think we got to our last question. So thank you very much for being here today. And I know you're very busy, both of you. Oh, I think we have a not on our last one. Has the new normal approach to technology in a COVID world boosted the connectivity with a more global community?
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we are here, so that's the proof, huh?
Yes, that's the proof.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the proof. That's the proof. You're in Barcelona,
Abso-
you're in Ontario, and God knows how many meetings we had, right? Back and forth like that. Technology is beautiful, because I don't think I would have been able to do that, even to be with you, to connect with you, right? And yes, I can say that too. I can answer. I know that the question wasn't mine, but I can attest to that. Yes, it helps. Technology is beautiful. So thank you very much, and for being here with us today, for sharing your knowledge, your experience, valuable experience. And I would like to add a couple of words, because when we had the question about, do we have the opportunity to connect NESCAD to with OCAD, or to connect the Art Director Conference of Europe with NESCAD? Actually, that's the plan. That's the plan, and we are working toward this. It's part of the strategy, because I strongly believe in cooperation, collaboration, whether it's national, regional, provincial, international. This is how you create leverage, right? And this is how you get the industry to be bigger, more competitive, right? If you take, let's say, even on the high tech industry, you take a company or a firm such as Apple, you can say, technically speaking, it's an Irish company, because that's where they're headquartered, right? In the meantime, in the meantime, right, literally 80% of microchips you have in your computer, in everything, electronics, in Asia, from Asia, one company, right? So I believe in cooperation. I believe in collaboration, international, national, provincial, regional. I believe so. This is what we're working toward. So once again, thank you very, very much. I'm very grateful for that, and I think all students and our alumni, our participants, they're grateful to have you with us today. Thank you very much, and that's gonna be my last word. And I would like to say, hold on, I think, yes. So next week we have not next week, in 2 weeks we have another webinar on stakeholders, funding, and business capacity building. So thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Mercè. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, Zev. Really appreciate this. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for coming, and enjoy your afternoon. Mercè, enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Bye.
invitation, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's been
very
a
much.
pleasure.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you, Seth.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.